think we'll literally be straight on as soon as this connects.
Oh, it's telling me we're live streaming.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. We're hoping this is working. My name is Julie Smith from the Well Community Church, and I'm joined by Mark Haler, also from the Well. And we just thought we'd spend a few minutes with you tonight to just talk about rainbows and hope. That's our topic this evening. So we're going to start with a song, and I'm going to see if I can get the technology to work for that. So bear with me just a minute, and we will play the song. Sorry. Always some technical thing that goes wrong. Hang on. One day by my side, you will lead me out of darkness. Now I stand in the hope of new life. By grace I'm free, you've rescued me. All I am is yours. I found a love greater than life itself. I found a hope stronger than nothing compares. I once was lost, now I'm finding you. You're my God and my firm foundation. It is you I trust at all times. I give glory and praise, adoration to my Savior who's seated on high. By grace I'm free, you've rescued me. All I am is yours. I found a love greater than life itself. I found a hope stronger and nothing compares. I once was lost, now I'm alive in you. Father, I want to thank you for this opportunity tonight to hear from you, to worship you, to hear the word that you've put on Mark's heart. Father, I thank you that even though we're not able to be together in person, we're not able to physically be in contact with each other, that Lord, you never leave our side. That love came down and rescued me. And Lord, we want to thank you for that tonight. We're going to go on and do another song now. All glory to the King of Ages, all glory to the King of Kings.
All glory to the King of Ages. All glory to the King of Kings. His name is Lord. His name is Jesus, enthroned above in majesty, into his heart. You came to save us. You bore the cross. You took my sin. You shone your light into my darkness. Unveil the truth. This mystery. You are my God. You are my Savior. You are the rock on which I stand. Ever faithful God, I cling to you. Everywhere you've shown that you are good. There's no other love compares with you. Forever strong, forever true, ever faithful God, I cling to you. You are the end of all my searching. You pour your grace on all my needs. Unfailing love, unending mercy, I'm found in you, the Prince of Peace. You are my God, you are my Savior, you are the rock on which I stand, ever faithful God, I cling to you. Everywhere you've shown that you are good, there's no other love compares with you. Forever strong, forever true, ever faithful God, I cling to you. You are my God, you are my Savior, you are the rock on which I stand. You are my God, you are my Savior, eternal one, the great I am, ever faithful God, I cling to you. In every way you've shown that you are good. There's no other love compares with you. Forever strong, forever true, ever faithful God, I cling to you.
She's great. That's Kathy. She leads worship at the Well Community Church, and I'm looking forward to the time when we can actually meet together in person and worship. But thanks for recording that earlier, Kathy. I want to talk to you a little bit about some of my experiences over the last few days and weeks, and how that fits in with my faith. Now, I've worked for the NHS for over 30 years now, in backroom jobs and on wards and in operating theatres and all sorts of places my work has taken me. I'm proud to have worked for the NHS. And I've seen over these last few weeks an absolute outpouring of love and affection towards the health service as people rally to support those that are caring for the sick and the dying. And one of the symbols that has risen out of this is that of a rainbow. And wherever I go, I see rainbows in windows. I've seen there's some stones around my local park that people have been painting. Many of those have got rainbows on them. And it's being adopted widely as a sign of hope. And I think that's lovely. I find that so touching. As an NHS worker, I find it touching. And the clapping on the Thursday, it's lovely. It really is. But there's so much more behind that rainbow. And I think as a society, we may have forgotten a little bit about the significance of rainbows and why they are important. Now, we're seeing them now as a sign of hope. But biblically, what are rainbows about? Well, when I look at my Bible and read through it, I see my Bible more or less topped and tailed by rainbows. We first come across rainbows in the book of Genesis, right at the beginning of the Bible. There's been a massive flood, and Noah and his family and all the animals have survived. And God sends a rainbow as a sign of his promise, a sign of his covenant, that he won't destroy the earth again. So right at the beginning, the rainbow is a sign of promise from God. And when there are storms, when there is rain, and we begin to come out of that storm, there is a rainbow, and it's seen as hope for a new future, for in that case, a dry time and that sort of stuff. But it's a really positive sign from God. And then at the end of the Bible, the book of Revelation, the rainbows are mentioned a number of times. We see a rainbow in the throne room of God, in the very presence of God. When you look at God, all around him is a rainbow, glorious color. But there's a difference between these two rainbows. The rainbow in Genesis is a physical rainbow. It's one that we could produce with science. It's sunlight shining through raindrops, being refracted and projected. And we see that ourselves many, many times. But the details in Revelation show us that there's no sun in that palace where God sits, in that place where God sits. And there's no rain either. So the rainbows that you see in the throne room of God are purely supernatural. It's the glory of God shining out to be witnessed. And when you see the light of God, when you see the glory of God, it's spectacular. It's multicolored. It's just beautiful. And it shines out. And you see it also in medieval paintings that they try to represent holy figures, Jesus, Mary, God himself, with halos and lights shining out. It's a representation of the glory of God. And that's where we get the other type of rainbows. But what does that mean to me as a Christian? See, the Genesis rainbow suggests hope, a future where God is not going to be destructive. And that brings hope to Christians, that God is actually in control. And with God in control, we can have an assurance and be confident in our relationship with God. There's a bit in the Bible from a book called the first book of Peter, and it's chapter 1 verse 3, and it tells us that it tells us about Jesus' death and resurrection and the sure and solid hope we can have in that. It says it's like an anchor to our soul. Like a boat in a storm needs an anchor to ground it, to keep it safe. We can have that sure hope as well as Christians because of our faith in Jesus, because he is who he says he is. He did what he said he was going to do. That sure and steadfast hope will hold us through times like this and times to come. Because even when we get through this period of lockdown, even when we get through the troubles and mourning that many people are going through, there'll be more troubles, there'll be other things, but to have that hope in Jesus is really important. Anyway, back to rainbows. In the book of Matthew, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So Matthew, he wrote that we are like a light on a hill. And he told us that we should let our light shine. Now, that doesn't mean that all the Christians should run to the top of the downs and get torches and wave them about or laser pointer pens. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about that spiritual light that we see in the book of Revelation that shines out of us. He wants people, when they look at Christians, to see hope. He wants people to see the glory of God, just as in the throne room of God, when you look upon God himself, there is a rainbow around him of his glory. Matthew is saying, let your light shine as well. Let people look at you and see hope. Let people look at you and see glory. Let people look at you and see God himself shining out of you. And I think that's just really encouraging for us as Christians. And it should be really encouraging for those that don't know Jesus, that don't have a relationship with him. I want people to see a promise-keeping God. I want people to get to know who Jesus really is. And they'll only do that when they see the light of Christians shining all over this world. So my prayer this evening, my prayer is that my light would shine brightly. And the hope that I have in Jesus will be seen like a light on a hill. And others will see that light and will see the glory of God and find Jesus, find hope, find that he is the anchor of our soul, that we can rely on Jesus in any storm at any time. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
There was one verse that I was going to add on to the end of that, which is this one. And it says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. And as Mark said, that's our prayer tonight, is that God of hope would meet you and that our light would shine and that people would come to know him for who he is.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it for tonight. So thank you for joining us. We're going to try and do this again in a couple of weeks' time. The contact details for the church are on the screen there. So if you want to get in contact with us, our website, www.twcc.church, email address info@twcc.church, and our mobile number is on there as well. So it's been great to see you. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with us, and we hope to see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.